Meg, it's great to see you again.
Well, it's nice to see you too.
Have not seen you since you had your son, Jack.
Really?
I haven't seen you
Really?
since then. No.
Oh, well,
No.
yeah. He's a year old now.
I know.
Right. He's very beautiful.
Well, how could he not be?
Well, it could have happened.
Unless someone left him on the doorstep, how could he not be?
He is quite the heaven head. He has a flat top now. He's a year old.
So does he have any awareness at all of, what you and Dennis do? I mean, does he...
What's strange is that he actually, it's weird. I have a friend who's an actor, and, whenever his son sees him on TV, they say, okay, who's that? And his little son, Sam, says, that's Michael J. Fox. And it's very funny, I don't know. There's a poster of Sleepless sitting around in my house, and Jack goes up to it and says, "Ta," and "Mimi,"
well,
which is weird. I mean, he's got this in his life. I don't know how we're going to handle this at all.
Well, you don't need to worry about that for a little bit.
Not for a little while, right?
Okay. Congratulations on Sleepless in Seattle.
Did you like it?
I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. That, it's just, we need these kinds of movies to break the monotony of all the slam bang action and the murder and the mayhem and everything. So really lovely story.
Hey, it's interesting because romance sometimes is a very intellectual thing, and the fact that these people romance each other from the opposite ends of the continent is it's a very female thing, really, finally, isn't it? The emotionalism of a romance, and yeah.
I found it fascinating that here you were, opposite ends of the world for all practical purposes, and you're just hearing him on radio, and yet you really fall in love with this man.
Yeah.
Now, some people would say, only in the movies, but actually, psychologists tell us that we fall in love with people who tend to have qualities that we lack.
God, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Makes a lot of sense. I think that they're a good match, Tom and Sam and Annie, because they are different yet the same. They both tend to think that love is more important than their careers, and that they're defined really by their families and that part of themselves. But, he's a little more adventurous than she is, and she sort of needs to get kind of out of herself a little bit. So it's perfect. I think that extreme thing had to happen to her because she's kind of such a square, really. And I think that sort of operates in this, what you said.
Yeah. When you were a kid growing up, who were some actors you had a crush on?
Actors that I had a crush on when I was growing up. Actors that I had a crush on when I was growing up. Let me think. David Cassidy. I really just got a big kick out of him. I thought he was great, And I liked everybody on Mary Tyler Moore, But I didn't go to the movies a lot when I was a kid. So it was mostly sort of TV people. There was like Vince Van Patten. God, I'm really just digging myself a ditch today, aren't I? Yeah, Bobby Sherman, people like that actually were, in my, oh my God, it's true.
Rock stars, any of them?
Oh, well, yeah. That was a big thing. Tom Petty was I was just hugely into Tom Petty. And Elton John, I remember everybody listening to Elton John when I was growing up. But then, sadly enough, it was sort of the disco age. So we had some of those people in life. You couldn't really ever lust after the Bee Gees somehow, though. I don't know what it was.
What are some movies or TV programs that made you cry?
God, some movies that made me cry were things like The Way We Were and Splendor in the Grass, and there were commercials that made me cry. A lot of the Hallmark commercials could kill you. And, there are definitely weepers, aren't there? Do you have any that you know of that I could use later?
Well, this is so off the wall, but it wouldn't work for you because I'm older than you are, but the first time I saw Death of a Salesman, I cried all the way home. I nearly wrecked the car.
That was a tragic movie.
Yeah.
It was a tragic movie. Dr. Zhivago could get you going, right? That was a good one.
Does Dennis cry in movies?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't remember. Usually because I'm so wiped out, I'm just not noticing anybody else, you know, that kind of thing.
When will we see the movie that you and Dennis have done?
In the fall. It was just such a completely different movie. It's a very gritty, very dark, very tragic story about two losers in love. So I really loved doing it. We did it in Texas.
Yes, you did in
Austin and then points west of there. It was the kind of thing where we would move every kind of 4 days and go on the road to these, like one Motel 6 after the next. At one point we had Jack's little crib in these bowls of water so the scorpions wouldn't climb up. I mean, there were snakes in the makeup man's room. It was very intense. And it was a very intense job to do.
Wow, I imagine. Doesn't say much for Texas, does it?
Well, it's a beautiful place, but the places that we saw it's a movie about people in an empty landscape, and so we were really out in the middle of nowhere.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Well, next time come to the more populated areas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, you know.
Oh.
Anyway.
And Austin was great.
Yeah, that's a great town. Great town. Meg, it's good to see you, and congratulations to all of you, and to you especially on your performance in Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay,
and I
thank
hope
you.
It does a just wonderful business for you.
Okay, thanks. So you're from Texas?
Yeah, yeah.